Hello, zany friends. This is Marshall. That is you. And today is very close to St. Paddy's Day. You know what that means? Lots and lots of green. People saying they're Irish when they're not really. I'm only about 1/8 myself. But that does mean that I do like me some alcohol on occasion, and not to go crazy. So how about you and I work together on planning your next pub crawl? You can do it. We're going to build you a planner right here to get all your friends together. Make sure you have all your places planned out. They've been called ahead of time, know you're coming, and make sure that you don't go too crazy and get yourself in jail or in a car accident, which is really bad. Nobody wants that. Nobody. So first, let's go over a few guidelines about doing a pub crawl. One, you don't want it to go too much longer than 3 hours. That's a really good recipe for getting each other exhausted and generally ruining the night as it goes. You have to have a stable, this is when it starts and this is when it ends. Now, a good rule of thumb is that at each location that you're going to be going to, spend about a half an hour. That'll give you enough time for a drink, maybe two, and a little bit of time to take in the environment, maybe talk to a few people that you don't know already, stuff like that. Just don't be obnoxious to the locals. If you go to 5 bars-ish, that will give you enough time to go around in 3 hours with a half an hour each. Another good guideline is to plan your route out ahead of time, and we're going to be doing that here. We're just not going to show you what the route actually is. I will tell you where I am heading. All of these are in the Orlando area, although some of them are downtown, some of them are not. They're all pretty close to each other though, and parking is also a part of this plan. Let's get moving. This will give you an idea of what we are going to do. Here we have a listing of all the different places that we are going to be going to. And that does include the parking garage for these places here, as well as a place to eat right at the very beginning. That's also a good guideline to follow, is that when you are doing a pub crawl, start with food and make sure that there is places that you could at least pick up food along the way. Do be flexible with this plan. If you have gotten around into one of these areas and you realize that some of your people might be feeling a little peckish, take a moment off to the side, go over to a 7-Eleven, pick up some chips or something. We're going to get into some of that a little bit later on. So let's get a closer look of what's going on here. We have different locations that we're going to be going to, and each of them is marked off with their own little box. And in the corner here, you can see how long it will take to get to them from the last stop. Now, we see these two little dots here on the right-hand side. The top one is for when I call that place to let them know that will be coming and how large our party is. And they can kind of tell us ahead of time, hey, that's not gonna work, or sure, we'd love to have you, and they can make extra arrangements for your party. That's courtesy, and it's also just gonna make your night move a little bit better. The second dot is for when you actually arrive. That way, later on you can look back and say, look at all the places we've been. Now we can see that there's these two other dots here, and we've got a few more dots here along with a large blank space. And those blank spaces are designed for you to write in your own achievements. You can see I've added in just a couple of these achievements that we can have for that location, such as taking part in a witness. At Gods and Monsters in their bar, they have a tradition that if anybody is about to do a shot, they yell out witness, and everybody else in the bar yells witness, and then they drink down the shot. Also, playing a game of Cards Against Humanity. These will be important for another part later on, but we have them all throughout for each of the different locations, as you can see. And we also, in a later section down here, we have other achievements, things that you can do throughout the entire night that aren't tied to a particular bar. So you might wonder, well, how do I come up with these achievements? The best way is actually just when you call these places up, ask if they have any traditions or any specialties there, perhaps any specialty drinks that you can only get there, and have achievements for those. When we move over here, we have the party members section. This is where we are going to be talking about all the people that are coming, and I didn't copy it for everybody, and we've got tons of extra space in here for others, but you get the idea that you just kind of take this chunk and replicate it in each one. Right here we have the RSVP section. It's just a check-off box to say whether they are or are not coming. And then here is the other checkbox for the fact that they actually showed up. The last box that we see has a little bit of a clock in the middle there. You can see that. And that clock is to represent what time they finally finished the night. In case they didn't make it all the way through to the end of the pub crawl when they left. It might also be nice if you add a little check mark at the box to make sure that they got home safely, whether the Uber got them there. This next line, as you see, has a little trophy in it, and that is for marking off the number of achievements that they got out of our list here. So when you have all 6, you have won the night. Whether other people have done it or not, it's not a competition, it's just a personal thing. We can also see here I have Corey. Corey doesn't drink, period. He just doesn't like to. So I've put a little crown next to his head to mark that he is going to be the designated driver. Is he going to join us on this night of drinking? I don't know. I really don't know. But the great thing is that you have somebody who is your designated driver and give them the honor of it. Now, as far as the number of people that you're going to want to have in your group, a good guideline is that you shouldn't have any more than 10. That way you can actually wrangle them all up. If they start getting rowdy, it's a little easier to control them then. At the very bottom, we have the inventory list. Some very important things to have before you go off on your wild night of drinking. We have the bottled water. A great way to keep from getting yourself dehydrated and drunk and then having hangover the next day is to have just a huge pack of bottled water. You can get them for like $5 just about anywhere. Make sure that you have your wallet and or your phone. I personally have a very easy means of keeping my money about me when I need to, and I always do. But just make sure you do before you leave. Lastly, a bag of chips or other forms of snacks, because if you eat food, especially carby food that absorbs things, you can keep from getting too much of a hangover, and that's just better for everyone. Now, when you're planning these, this last one should be closer to your house or to the hotel that you're going to be staying at. Now, this one actually is not. This is on the other side of town from us pretty much, but I wanted to end on Better Than Sex. Better Than Sex isn't actually a bar. It is a dessert lounge. So it's only open from 6 until midnight, and that kind of gives us an idea because most of these don't open until 6 anyway. We have plenty of time, and we can make an arrangement to come at a particular time. So let's say I go ahead and click off, okay, I called them, and we have a reservation for 11:30 right there, and I know when we have our reservation for, and we can keep track of the time and how long it's taking to get everywhere and do everything by that. there you have it, the St. Patty's pub crawl layout, designed to help me get everywhere we need to go. For this pub crawl, we have each of our locations, we have achievements, we have ways to track when we are going to go to each place, and making sure that all that's taken care of, who's there, what they're doing, blah-de-de-blah, and all that fun stuff. I'm not entirely certain if we're actually going to be able to do this pub crawl, but if you are interested and in the Orlando area, put a comment down below. If enough people are interested, we might try and clear out some schedule for just such an occasion, and maybe all of us get together and have some fun. In the meantime, if you like what you're seeing, check out our playlist off to the side. It's going to teach you how to do things from New Year's to Christmas and other holidays. We're going to be adding more as we go. And until next time, stay zany.